Hello, my name is Jacob Moody. I am an extremely awkward college freshman who may or may not have peaked in high school, but I'm sure you know that already. I'm sitting before you because I need to tell you a story. A story of prestige, a story of struggle and loss. I'm going to tell you my experiences with leadership. A proper place to start is my freshman year of high school. Up to this point, I was kind of a social outcast, not because I was weird, but because I didn't talk to anybody. I was only in one activity up to this point, and if it wasn't obvious, it was band. Yeah, I know, crazy. Up to this point, I felt I was the only person I could rely on. That is until I made my way into high school with all the older kids. These kids were more than musicians. They were my first introductions into leadership. They helped me, they talked to me, they guided me, and now they're some of my best friends to this day. It's really interesting because up to this point, I had never really thought I could befriend anyone who had a status that was above mine, sort of like teachers to students. But they became my friends pretty easily, so I'm glad I was proved wrong. As each year passed in high school, more and more of my friends graduated, and eventually I had to fill their shoes. It was a very difficult experience, especially having everyone in my grade drop out, so I was on my own for the most part, but hey, I learned some independent skills there. Luckily, getting to this point, my leaders taught me some pretty valuable skills, like talking to people. Jokes aside, however, they helped me become an actual person. I went from an introverted weirdo to an introverted weirdo who kind of had a personality. They taught me to mitigate stressful situations, which I found out very quickly was a very important thing to know. I made a lot of friends at that time. I used the skills that my leaders taught me and tried my absolute best to make sure my underclassmen had the same experience of growth that I had. And you know what? Some of those people turned into my best friends and have personally thanked me for not just being an okay leader, but a good friend. A good example I can think of at the top of my head is one of my best friends who I will not disclose the name of. When this kid was a freshman, he kind of reminded me of myself, and you know I could not allow that. I took that child and turned him into a powerhouse of a musician and a team player. So overall, I went from a kid who hardly knew how to talk to people to someone who people were able to depend on and be a role model for. Having not known the basics of leadership, I think I did a pretty good job. I tried to be very inclusive with all my peers. I made sure everyone had a voice, like when I settled disputes between my underclassmen. I also tried to make sure that our environment was a safe one that we could all just relax. Now, being in a course for leadership, I realize I have a lot more to learn. I can be a better leader, a better friend, and a better person. Yay, self-improvement.